Hi, everyone. This is Jacqueline from She Rises Studios, and welcome to Light the Torch ceremony. And today we celebrate Letters to Her, a tribute to mothers, grandmothers, and the women who shaped us. A deeply moving anthology that reminds us of a simple but profound truth. Some women give us life, others teach us how to live. This collection of a tapestry of love letters written to mothers, grandmothers, and maternal figures whose strength, sacrifice, wisdom, and quiet resilience shaped generations. Within these pages are words of gratitude, healing, forgiveness, remembrance, and reverence. And today, we honor the legacy of the women who carried us, mentored us, protected us, and loved us in the way that echo through our lives. So let's start the discussion real quick here. Hi, hello everyone. Hi, ladies.
Hi there.
Nice.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm so excited about this particular book. I know that just from the title alone, it will bring so much memories, so much joy, and so much heart into a lot of our readers. So why don't we go around, introduce yourself, and let us know what made you decide to be part of this. Maybe despite the fact that you will be sharing, personal experiences, personal moments of your life. Who would like to start?
I'm
Uh,
happy to go. Oh,
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, yes, please.
Go ahead, Mary.
okay. So for me, I wanted to write about my mom, and it was really important to me that her legacy would carry on long after she passes away, I pass away, or whatnot.
Mm,
She has a remarkable story of leaving Greece as a 16-year-old and going to Canada and surviving and getting married and thriving and having four kids. And I just am so thankful for the um, not the image, but the what she's taught me through life.
mm. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. Now you're sharing it with the world. So that's
Exactly.
wonderful. Dr. Stephanie, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. Thank you. So, my story is again about my mother, and she was an incredible human being and a 40-year educator that touched the lives not only of myself and my sister, but also the hundreds and if not thousands of students that she worked with, not only at the school, but she was also involved in the church and the community. And unfortunately, she died tragically in a car accident when I was 27.
Mm,
And so my world kind of came crashing down at that time. But I have always wanted to emulate the spirit of my mom and everything that I do and keep her legacy going. And so I too have been in education for over 30 years now, and I hope that I am half the woman that she was. And I just wanted to share that tribute to the world.
that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Stephanie. Yes, Dr. Louisa.
Well, it was always my dream to write a book, and I wish you guys would also publish it in Polish language because my mom would understand it even better because I'm Polish originally. But it was my dream, and especially when I came to United States 26 years ago, and then
Mhm.
from musician on Broadway, I turned into multi entrepreneur. Like I realized how much she impacted my life, not only to pass her dream of being a musician on me, and she grew up, 1947, that's the year, a couple years after the war. So
Mm,
pretty much this was generation which built the country. As little kids they were building country, they was living on ruins. So the life had so much trauma, from
mhm.
parents who went through the war and then building the country and working full-time job in the age of 13 years old, as going to school as well, having dreams which were challenging to achieve that time because only you really had to think about survival, not building dreams, right? So I always wanted to honor her. And in my transition, between being an artist and becoming entrepreneur, like I realized how much she gave me, that so many skills I have are thanks of her. And I started truly admiring her and appreciating her. And while I try to express it, I just wanted this to be out there, because I'm sure there are so many other women around the world who are so grateful to their parents, and hopefully this we will all inspire them to also express it in words, because just me reading it, I felt I'm changing, I'm admiring her even more, and just my love was growing so much more as well. It just brings so much great energy in your life and admiration to the person. So I'm now kind of thinking like, what can I do to make it in Polish language? And she will not understand this interview. Hopefully, none of my friends will tell her, but I'm coming to Poland in April. She doesn't even know. I'm surprised.
Oh,
And I'm taking this book with me, and I'll probably translate the Polish part and try to bind it somehow, to make it look, Polish language. So anyway, so I just love her so much. And she, all my dreams, which I'm accomplishing now, are thanks of her and her huge impact. So thank you for this opportunity.
well, thank you so much, Dr. Louisa. Andrea, would you like to go next?
Why did I write this book? Well, this is a bittersweet for me. I don't know if you've read my chapter, but it's bittersweet for me. My chapter is all about really about the healing process of having a mother that gave you everything, that loves you from what the world perspective of love looks like. Um, and my mother helped me to be the person that I am, whether it's in the positive sense or the negative sense. That makes sense. My mother was a strong, or is a strong woman. um, but when I first started to write this chapter, honestly, I started it so many times not knowing what to say, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times when you express your thankfulness as well as the pain for forgiveness, people don't understand. Well, oh, that's your mother, and you're not appreciative of the gratitude. And so this was a really hard chapter for me to write. But the interesting thing was, as I not knowing what to write, about 2 weeks prior to writing this particular chapter, that I totally forgot I was going to write. My mother and I had a conversation. It was weird, but that particular conversation, after 50 years, my mother shared something with me, um, her life story, because she was so private. But that story, she shared her life story, and I started to cry as I was listening. And she's like, "Don't cry, don't cry." I'm going to cry right now. But but as she shared her story, and before I was about to write this, that shed so much light on what I experienced as a kid, as a teenager, becoming an adult with my mother. And I was able to be more appreciative and have more gratitude for her based on the conversation that we were having. But in the moment, I had no idea when I was going through this conversation with her, why is she telling me all of this? And then I'm like, oh, I have to get this letter out to her. I haven't written it yet. And then I say, Lord, that was why. So God knew what I needed in order for me to write this chapter. So it was a really hard chapter for me, but I think it was one of peace, of healing, of understanding everything that my mother gave me. She gave me everything. And so everything that I got from my mother, because my father died when I was a baby, my biological dad, so I didn't get to really know him. But now with this, I understand the experience. And now I told my mother, you know what? She lives in the Bahamas. I'm going to read it to you. And I said, you know what? I think this is a letter you need to read yourself. So I will read it to you
Yeah.
so you can actually read it. So I'm glad that I wrote it, even though at first I didn't know what I was going to write. So, thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Well, that's just wonderful, Andrea. Thank you so much. Angela.
Yes. So I also want to just express my gratitude for having this platform and, being offered the opportunity to contribute a letter to my mom and my grandma. And the timing was very fortuitous. I was in the process of writing my own book, my very first book. I'm in my mid 50s. I retired about a year ago, and I took kind of this brave step to do something that I had wanted to do for 20 years, and I did it. And it was just all a very kind of full circle moment. As I was writing the book, which was deeply personal to me, it gave me an opportunity to reflect a lot on my mom and my grandma and the role that they played in my life. My grandma's no longer with us. My mom still is, and I'm very close to her, probably a little too close. But, these were the women that modeled for me grit, resilience, strength, and this kind of quiet need for appreciation. They just never got it, right? And I think as I've aged and have my own children, I have a very deep appreciation for what these two women sacrificed and quietly endured so the rest of us could thrive. And I was deeply moved by having a chance to thank them both and presenting the letter to my mom.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Angela. And that's true, sometimes we don't, especially early in our years, we don't really appreciate, we don't really understand these role models that we've had that have been standing, right behind us, pushing us forward. But now we get this particular chance to say our thank you to them. And I'm wondering though, when you were when you sat down and decided to write your chapter, your letter, was there, something that you wrote that you've never had the chance to say out loud?
I'd be happy to start here and then open it up to all these amazing authors as well. I think for me, I know in particular, my mom knows how much I appreciate her and I thank her a lot. I think I don't think I gave my grandma the appreciation that she was due, and I wish I would have. So I think that that's one element where I just, when she was alive, I had the good fortune of having my grandma in my life until I was in my early 40s, to be honest, and I feel very grateful for that. But I wish I would have sat down with her at some point and expressed to her all the things that she meant to me. I think she knew, but all the ways I saw her as a woman, as a mother, as a grandma, that I never really said to her. So I wish I would have had that opportunity. And this letter gave me a little bit of that. And it gave it to my mom, who could see her own mother through my eyes.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Angela. Yes, anybody else?
In process of writing the book, this is such a beautiful question you asked, because there are so many things I told my mom. And while the book was first meant to truly appreciate her, I think somewhere underneath I realized that I wanted to probably also say I'm sorry. And there is that the difference in generations. I'm turning 50 this year. This is a different generation, the way my mom was raised, the way things she would communicate with her mother, the things which were not appropriate to say to the parents, especially in that very strict Polish upbringing. So I think because I'm more straightforward as well, and run few businesses, so sometimes I'm in the mode of being just so direct, right? Sometimes I feel like this chapter was my way of saying, I'm sorry, I see you, I admire you, I appreciate you. So sometimes my straightforwardness was not to hurt you. I'm a different person, but I see everything you gave me, and maybe my words were just too harsh because they were just so straightforward. And the truth is, look, I should still say it now. She's alive. How blessed I am. But in a way, that chapter is not just appreciation, but also apologies, and making my mom realize, like, I really, you're huge, you're great, you're amazing. And it's just me who did not find the right way to say the things I meant to say, because we had the difference in opinions,
Mm-hmm.
and the generational difference was huge, is huge still today, and we
Mhm.
spent so much time talking, and she's getting used to my way of living. And I think the difference in cultures, being in the United States for so many years, everything's just very
Yes.
straightforward, very fast. So I'm like this, I'm very fast, and Poland is more relaxed, right? So there are two different components to it. So sometimes I can come out to my mom as a just too harsh. So it's like an apology. And this question just made me realize that I just need to say it in words too, like spoken words, because I still have a change. So
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Well, I'll share that you all heard that my mother is already gone, but one thing that it allowed me to do is it really reflects on. I focused on all the good things. Whenever you have a mom, there's
Mm-hmm.
good, there's bad, there's indifferent, there's all of those different pieces. But in her loss, I have always decided to focus on the positive and the opportunities and the gratitude towards her. And the crazy thing is I she was the model for so many incredible things in my life, and I don't think that I realized it until I became an adult, and I could see, especially in education, the way that other parents were with their children, or the other models that some people have. But not only
Mm-hmm.
my mother, but also my grandmother. And then I also see so much of my mom in my children, and they've never met. My mother died several years before my kids were born.
Yes.
So it was just kind of a great um, kind of a full circle experience, if you will, seeing how much my mother is involved in my entire life, including why I'm doing what I'm doing now. I mean, it's all because of her, and I have her in my head. A lot of people, I live in the South, they say, what would Jesus do, as their next step? And I always say, what would mom do? And so I always look
That's
at
true.
my mother, and she's the guiding force. And so this allowed me to really reflect and really see those opportunities and see how much she has influenced my life, although she's been gone for over 25 years.
And it's amazing how even if they've moved on, they've passed away
Hmm.
for so many years, they the mark that they've left
Mm.
in us is still right there. And speaking of that mark, what lessons are you intentionally carrying forward to the next generation? Is there any specific learning, teaching from your role models that you are intentionally passing on to your next generation?
I think
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was
Sorry,
just going to
doctor.
say, no, that's fine. I was just going to say her intentional servant leadership, and she was a teacher, but she wasn't a person of title. And that's something that I always talk about. It's not having a title, it's your influence with one another. And so I think
Mhm.
it is her deep down passion for being a servant leader and looking to make a difference in others' lives and empowering those around you and having so much empathy and building relationships and communication. So that's what I'm trying to lead now in my life.
That's great. Yes, Angela.
Um, I love that servant sort of leadership, and I think for me, there's a little bit of that in what I'm trying to pass down, particularly to my boys. So I'm a mom of three boys, plus I have four additional stepkids, and I think one of the things I'm trying to model that my mom still does for us is just a level of independence.
Mhm.
Reminding my kids that yes, I'm always here, and also, I'm giving you the tools to live a really, really comfortable, independent life. And my mom did that for herself at a very young age, having me and my brother very young, and getting married, and and then divorcing. There was just this independent streak in her that didn't ask for anything. She didn't ask for
Mhm.
anything in return. And she made her way for us, and she just did it. And I think that there's a little bit of that I'm trying to pass along to my kids, that sometimes we don't ask for things in return. Sometimes it's just the silent way we show up and do, and
Mhm.
it's the making sure that our actions follow our words. And between her and my grandma, those were the big lessons. We do what we say what we mean. We um we we take a risk on ourselves when it maybe feels a little scary, and we finish what we start. And those are the things that I hope to show, not just tell my kids, but show my kids.
I
That's
think
awesome.
I think for me, a few things, but one of the things that I'm taking forward to the next generation is I have one daughter and two boys. And what my mother did was, with my stepdad, my mother, we would not eat until my stepdad came home. So whatever time he came home, that was the time that we ate dinner. My mother was also what you would call, it's a bad word in the world, but my mother was a very submissive person.
Mm.
She was submissive to my stepdad. And as I got older, and that entrepreneurial spirit that she had is the same spirit that I have and that my daughter now has. Okay. And so I so appreciate her teaching me really how to actually be a lady, is what she taught me. When I
Mm-hmm.
go anywhere, my hairdresser is a man, my hairstylist, I call it. And he always says, "You're a girly girl." And then my and then my husband says, "You're a girly girl." So that's something that my mother taught me. My mother is literally a girly girl. And so I'm appreciative that I've got to take that with me, that part of her, of being a woman who is a wife who honors her husband and respects him the way that I am supposed to do. So I'm really appreciative of that.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Andrea. Mary, would you like to share?
Yeah. So for me, I have twin daughters, and I really want them, and what I'm hoping that they do get from me and their yaya in Greek grandmother, is how strong they are, and that they come from a long, strong history of women. And my mom did so much to sacrifice for a better life for her kids, for her grandkids.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope
Mm-hmm.
that my kids can appreciate that and know that whatever challenges they may face in the future, that they can do it. And they've had the models of who came before them doing that.
Mm-hmm. That's
For
wonderful.
for me, it's interesting because, as I said before, we live in such a fast-paced world,
Mm-hmm.
but that pace, we really choose it. We have to be honest. We choose if we become part of it. And for
Mhm.
me, the lesson from my mom is to be able to find ourselves in that world where we have to use so much brain and analysis and counting and planning,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time keep listening to the heart. Because again, kind of writing it and tracing her life steps made me feel how big was the spiritual component of going through these
Mm-hmm.
times, and then finding that inner strength, not in your bright intelligent mind, creative mind, but somewhere in the depth of your heart, and ability to be peaceful and realize that when you are able to put yourself in that slower, peaceful state, you find answers for the most challenging problems. And suddenly, the answer's right there. We just don't feel it, we don't hear it because we're so fast. We're
Mm-hmm.
plugged into the electric instead of uh, feeling that heart. So, my mom is religious. Poland is very Catholic till today. Um, but there's that very strong spiritual aspect, because sometimes religious doesn't really mean spiritual, but that spiritual for me, and my meaning, is that connection with that heart, with that intuition, with that divine, with that something you can name however you want, but it's there and you feel it and you trust it. It's like you trust God, you trust yourself, right? Because it's inside of you. So that's the lesson. Like I think the whole world would benefit very much if we would sometimes just shut our brains and our mouths and just be at peace.
That's awesome. Wonderful. Well, to close us off here, what would you say to the woman watching us out there who is wishing she could say one more thing to her role model, her woman role model?
Say it. Don't
Say it.
wait.
Don't wait. Say it. And if that role model isn't here, say it out loud to yourself. Shout
Yeah.
it from the rooftops to the people that you love, and that you hope will gain something from the lesson that you have.
Absolutely. I love it what you said, shout it out loud, because I would say, like, look at the mirror, find your mother in your eyes, because you have your
Mm.
mother's eyes, probably, at least most women, right? Although, but, connect with your mother. And if you still are lucky to be able to express it out loud, just do it, because otherwise the regrets are huge, and some people feel those regrets when it's too late, right? So expressing it in a way frees you as well,
No,
right? And it just
absolutely.
opens another level of communication with your mother, still able to be with you and talk to you. But even if she's
Mhm.
not, you feel so much release that you actually say it, right?
Well, and I talk about my mother, again, she's the one that's not here. I talk about her all the time to my husband, to my kids, to the people that I speak to. And so she is still a part of my world every single day. So I make sure that I share, the stories that I remember and the moments that had such meaning to me and my connection with her all the time. And so she is definitely a part of my world, and everybody knows it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well,
You
thank
know,
you so much.
there's something like I need to say. I'm sorry.
Yes, sure. No.
No, there is that thing about frequencies, and like we feel when our body is in that higher frequency, on that
Mhm.
wavelength of love and compassion, right? So when we express something, even if the mother is not here anymore, like just our own frequency, the way we feel,
Mm.
our body feels so much lighter and so much happier, because we're raising these frequencies, and to heal ourselves we
Mhm.
need to raise them as well. So many ways of raising, but one of them is expressing that gratitude. It doesn't mean that person has to be alive, that person can be already passed on, but just expressing gratitude itself already heals us, right? So, and the world needs it, we all need it.
Yeah, I would add to that. Everybody says shout it from the rooftop. I like Angela saying that. But what I would leave is that we only have one life to live, and we only have the here and now. And there's nothing worse than not being able to share that gratitude with someone that was dear to you. And so, what
Mm.
I would leave with you, who's watching, I would say, if your mother is still here, today is the time. Today is the time, because we only have right now, this moment.
Mm.
And so, in this moment, this is the moment to express the gratitude and appreciation for that person, or the persons, because it could be a grandmother, it could be an aunt. We're talking about the persons
Yes.
that shaped us. So, whoever those persons are in your life today is that moment. So, as we come off of this right now, as we sign off, if you haven't done it yet, pick up the phone now and do it, because you only have this moment.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much, ladies. This has been a wonderful celebration of memory, motherhood, and legacy. Letters to her, letters to her reminds us that the women who shaped us never truly leave us. They live in our courage, in our compassion, in the way we love, we lead, and nurture others. So whether your letters is filled with gratitude, longing, reconciliation, or remembrance, this anthology is a timeless keepsake for everyone who has ever been shaped by another. And the great news is that this book is now available on Amazon. So please grab a copy and continue the legacy, not just in words, but in the lives that we live. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.